2002, 30 million Africans, including 3 million under the age of 15, were infected by HIV/AIDS. This human tragedy is threatening the very existence of many African societies and is so serious that UN Secretary-General Kofi Annan asked for a global war to confront the AIDS pandemic. According to the report Children on the Brink that was published jointly by USAID, UNAIDS and UNICEF, the number of AIDS orphans in Africa alone will increase to 25 million by the year 2010.
In Africa, there are many urgent problems in the battle against AIDS. One great urgency is to make sure that children are born free of the HIV virus. Too many babies in Africa come into the world infected before birth by HIV, and these children are doomed from the start to tragic and tragically short lives. Project Guggenheim went to see HIV-infected children outside of Mopti in Mali, a city with a high incidence of AIDS. The children's father had died and their mother had AIDS. Because many of their neighbors considered the disease shameful and blamed the victims, we were told that we could only visit the children under cover of darkness at night. Even so, a short time after we arrived, a crowd of people came to stare and comment about the children, so that their mother panicked. She ran off to church for divine protection. The children's caretakers stayed, and the kids enjoyed drawing with the Crayola crayons we had brought. Thanks to the efforts by the Malian government and Association of Women Against HIV/AIDS, which works with AIDS-infected orphans, several hundred HIV-infected children in the area are well and lovingly cared for in private homes, but they are in urgent need of assistance. When driven by desire, men as well as women tend to underestimate the risk of becoming infected by HIV/AIDS or by other sexual diseases. Abstinence works best and is recommended by the Malian government and religious leaders. But for young people with powerful hormonal drives, abstaining from sex does not always look like an option. Young girls in particular face many economic pressures, and sex and early marriage appear to them to be the only way out of poverty. Luckily, condoms offer protection and an alternative, but many individuals, even if they know how to protect themselves, fail to do so, and are easily trapped by the carelessness or ignorance of their partners. We are now collaborating with Malians to use their own cultural knowledge and traditions embodied in the masks, in ritual sacrifices, in dances, and in marionette river theater to reach different cultural groups with information on AIDS. One of the many cultural traditions used in the fight against AIDS is that of the Bobo people. After discussing with the chief of a Bobo village the idea of using their mask to inform villagers about HIV, he said, "Although our people no longer trust TV or radio, they still trust the mask." The elders of the village then arranged for the mask to teach about HIV. After a properly conducted sacrifice, the mask cautioned the audience against discriminating against people struck by the disease. It admonished the young girls to be faithful and told them that if they could not be faithful, they needed to use a condom. Finally, to the great astonishment of some young women present, the mask demonstrated the use of a condom on a stick. The leadership of the village youth organization then got together and asked for help to continue this program. The Niger and Bani rivers are ancient and important trade routes, and today primary points for the diffusion of AIDS, especially in the port cities of Mopti and Ségou. In Segu and in the small villages along the river that have little access to information, the incidence of AIDS is about 7.5%. It is for this reason that Project Guggenheim has introduced the popular river puppet theater as a means of carrying AIDS prevention information to isolated villages. In a hotel on the banks of the Niger River in Segu, I talked to two AIDS workers, Mani Maiga, who is in charge of AIDS prevention in Segu, and Aliou Geye, who is president of Youth Against AIDS for Mali. I suggested they write a play on HIV/AIDS for the popular puppet theater that is performed on boats. The puppets are a Bambara and Bozo tradition which goes back to at least the middle of the 19th century, and both Mani and Aliou accepted the idea with great enthusiasm. Aliou agreed to write the script, and Mani Maiga to take care of all the organizational arrangements. The play is performed both in Bozo language and in French, and the audience reacts with delight. It loves the plot. In the first scene, Nieba desperately needs money in order to feed her many children. She does not know that her husband, who died of AIDS, and that she herself is HIV infected. She wants no more children and carries a condom, which she offers to her client, the wealthy Mr. Zanke, whose wife does not know of his unfaithfulness. Zanke rejects the condom and throws it into the river. The audience laughs in delight. The audience thinks that he will now not have sex with her. But because she needs the money, Nieba feels she has no choice but to engage in sex with Zanke. In spite of the fact that they have no protection, they take the risk of having sex. There are a number of different performances in which Aliou dramatizes his message on AIDS prevention, and then the audience has a chance to ask questions of the puppets. The dance and festivities that follow show all the wonderful spirit of African society. They also show the enormous temptations of youth and the importance of informing young people through our program. The task ahead is enormous because it is important to reach out into the many distinctive cultures and to discuss with people their specific needs.